In the 1840s, along the heavy banks of the Mississippi River, where the air clung thick with humidity and the fields stretched endlessly beneath a burning sun, there lived a man named Elias. He belonged to a plantation that measured wealth in cotton and human bodies. To everyone who watched him, Elias seemed ordinary, quiet, slow in his movements, careful with his words, obedient in posture, the kind of man overseers barely noticed, the kind of man plantation owners trusted. But Elias carried something far more dangerous than rebellion.
He carried knowledge, because Elias could read. In a world where literacy meant power, and power meant freedom, that ability alone was a death sentence if discovered. At night, when the fields fell silent and exhausted bodies collapsed onto wooden planks, Elias did not sleep. Instead, by the faint flicker of a hidden lantern, he unfolded scraps of paper he had gathered during the day. Torn letters, discarded invoices, shipping manifests stained with river water, bills of sale listing human beings beside livestock. He studied them all, not for entertainment, not for hope, for understanding.
Because Elias had begun to notice something the others had not. Power did not come from strength. Strength bent under the whip. Strength collapsed in the heat. Power came from paper. Paper moved men. Paper moved money. Paper moved lives. One afternoon, while sweeping near the plantation office, Elias saw something that changed everything. A small document lying near the desk, stamped, signed, official. It was a freedom pass, a simple sheet authorizing movement, permission to travel, permission to exist beyond the plantation. And what shocked him was not what it said, it was what it wasn't. There was nothing sacred about it. No special parchment, no golden ink, no hidden mark. Just handwriting, a signature, and a seal pressed into wax.
That night, Elias did not think about running. He did not think about hiding in the swamps. He did not think about crossing north. For the first time, he thought about identity. Who decided it? Who recorded it? Who verified it? And what would happen if the paper said something different? Over the following weeks, Elias became obsessed.
He studied the curves of letters, how officials formed their E's, how they looped their S's, how ink thinned when a pen ran dry. He memorized spacing, pressure, flow. He watched how sunlight aged paper, how humidity curled its corners. He collected discarded scraps from trash bins behind the office, practicing each night under lantern glow, again and again and again, until one evening,
his hand no longer shook. The ink no longer bled unevenly. The seal impression matched the original, and in front of him lay his first document, a freedom pass with his name written as a free laborer. The next morning, Elias did something no one expected. He walked, not ran, walked.
Down the main road toward a nearby town, alone, the folded paper resting inside his coat. Every step was measured, every breath controlled. If the ink looked wrong, if the signature curved differently than expected, if a patrolman examined it too closely, he would not be whipped. He would be executed. Forgery was not rebellion. Forgery was fraud against the system itself, and the system punished that harshly. At the town entrance, a guard stopped him, held out a hand. Elias handed over the paper. The guard's eyes moved slowly across the page, thumb brushing over the seal. A pause. A long pause. Sweat gathered at Elias's collar. Then the paper was handed back, without a word. without suspicion. Without doubt, because when men saw the paper, they did not see chains, they did not see ownership, they saw authorization, they saw a free man. That day, Elias worked for wages, small, modest, but real money placed into his hand. And in that moment, a dangerous thought formed. If one paper could change his life, what could 10 do?
Soon, Elias began traveling between towns. Sometimes as a porter moving crates along the river. Sometimes as a hired worker unloading cargo. Sometimes as a messenger carrying letters. Each time under a different name. Each time carrying a different document. Each time becoming someone new. And quietly, carefully, methodically, he began creating papers for others.
Men who had never stepped beyond plantation gates. Women who had never walked a public road alone. Names changed, statuses altered, identities rewritten, and people began to disappear. Not in chaos, not in gunfire, not chased by dogs, just gone, without noise, without understanding, without explanation. Plantation ledgers grew thinner. Overseers whispered. Owners blamed laziness, but Elias understood the risk. The more people vanished, the more questions would follow, and attention was death. Within a year, rumors spread along the Mississippi. Talk of forged passes, talk of a hidden network.
Talk of a coordinated effort. Authorities imagined secret meetings in the woods, conspiracies, organizations, but they were wrong. There was no group, no rebellion circle, no secret society. There was only one man, one steady hand, one mind that understood the weakness of the system. And he had discovered something terrifying. The system did not run on chains.
It ran on paper. By 1843, plantation owners across 3 counties were furious. Workers disappeared before harvest. Transport wagons arrived half empty. Sales were delayed. Profits were threatened. Someone was helping slaves escape. And worse, that person understood the system better than they did. And when power feels threatened, it adapts.
They would soon make a decision that would change everything. Because the man quietly undoing their system was about to step inside it. And in the next part, he will do something impossible. He will become a slave catcher, a double agent. When owners reported an escape, Elias was often sent first. He would study the trail, the direction, the timing, then quietly change everything. False tracks, wrong directions, delayed reports. Sometimes he would even search for days, for people he had already helped escape. Other times, he warned them in advance. Leave tonight. They're coming tomorrow. Authorities began to notice something strange.
Whenever Elias was involved, escapes increased. But they couldn't prove anything, because on paper, he was their most loyal man. Then Elias did something even riskier. He started using the bounty system. Sometimes he would help someone escape, then arrange to capture them later at a safe location. He collected the reward money, and that money was used for one thing: buying forged papers, bribes, safe transport. Elias wasn't just helping people run anymore. He was building a network. But double lives always come with a cost. Because the more Elias worked with authorities, the more dangerous his secret became. One plantation owner finally spoke up. Why is it that whenever Elias searches, people vanish completely? Another officer noticed something else. Elias traveled too much, too freely, too confidently.
So they made a quiet decision. They didn't remove him. They didn't confront him.
They did something worse. They started watching him. Every move, every trip, every conversation. Elias didn't know it yet, but the system he was using was now closing around him. And then one night, everything changed. A group Elias helped escape was captured, not by authorities, but by someone who knew his secret, someone who had been watching him for months. And in part 3, Elias will discover the truth. He isn't the only one playing both sides.
And this is where the story takes a dark turn, because the man who was secretly helping people escape would soon be working for the very system that hunted them. And what he did next was far more dangerous than anything before. The first part ends here. Part 2 will be coming tomorrow. How did you like this part? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you appreciate the effort and research behind this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.